This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Jeff Gardner.
Welcome to another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today we have another good neighbor on, Brett Caswell of Choir Revolution. Brett, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You got a little kitty in the background?
I do.
Can we see him or her?
I hope he stays quiet. We got 4 cats. This is Willie.
That's Willie.
Say
What's
hello,
up, Willie? Oh, you little cute butterbean. It's great. We love having the extra furry guests on the show.
Yeah.
Always makes a great way to start. So, Brett, let's start off from the top, man. What is Choir Revolution?
Choir Revolution is an interactive singing event where we cater to all abilities of singers. It's definitely not your average choir. You know, don't think church choir when you hear Choir Revolution. We gather in pubs and breweries and theaters, and we sing contemporary music like we just did Neil Young, Prince, Alanis Morissette. So Choir Revolution is a singing event for all abilities of singers. That's kind of the way I would wrap that up.
All abilities of singers. Wow, just 1,000 questions pop through my mind. But before we even get into that, I look at every human, like there's so many great metaphors out there in movies that are subtle, like Lord of the Rings, right? You go through Mordor, you go through all your challenges, you become a better hobbit or human or wizard along the way. You get your ring, you deal with Schmeagol or Golem. But it's really like a metaphor for life. And I think human beings communicate very well through telling stories. I think we all love telling stories. I think it's just one of the things that differentiates us from a cow or a deer. So we love talking about the stories that brought the human that we're speaking to, so in this case, you, to this point in your life. So that is a very interesting concept, Choir Revolution, which I'm going to ask a million questions about afterwards. But what made you do that? What made you decide music is going to be my thing, how I impact the world, and why the revolution? Like, how did you come to this, man? Why do this?
Well, music in general, I've always known. As soon as I picked up a guitar when I was 12, it was over. As soon as I saw Green Day on the TV, it was over.
Yes.
That was it. So I've been doing it my whole life. And for the most part, the rest of my career was on the road and writing music, performing music in bands as a solo artist across Canada. But along with that came a lot of the culture, the drinking and the drugs. And I partook in all of it. And that's got an expiry date. So
yes.
Eventually I burned out, basically. I burned out on working too hard and partaking too much in the festivities. So I had to take a step back. And when I took a step back, it just so happened I saw this choir in Toronto called Choir. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. But they were doing this thing that I'm doing now, and they were posting the videos to YouTube. So I was seeing these videos on YouTube thinking, how the heck, what is going on here? This is something that I got to look into. Because at the time I was off the road and recovering, and I needed something new to do under the umbrella of music for a business, because that's all I know. This is all I know, Jeff. I don't have really any other skill sets that I'm confident in, that could pay my bills. So I saw these videos of choir, and I thought, I'm going to do that. That's something that I can do to reinvent myself and still enjoy music, because at the time I wasn't even really enjoying music. I kind of beat it to death. I played so much. So I saw this choir thing, and I started arranging music immediately, because I'd never arranged a song for choir before. So I started arranging music, realized that I could do it, and then started hosting my own events up here in Barrie. So that's how I got to Choir Revolution. Yeah.
Love it, man. So it's been ingrained in you from a young age. First off, even though you just slipped it in there and said it and continued on so quickly, I appreciate you being so transparent with us. I think that's hugely valuable. It still amazes me how many people are afraid of doing that, and totally logical. I understand why. I'm an addictions counselor at a wonderful facility on the weekend called Cornerstone Recovery. And the only reason that I got to that point is I also partook in the extracurriculars that were toxic for my life and led me down a destructive path until that wall smacked me in the face, and either decided continue banging my head on that same wall until you no longer have a head to bang, or pivot and find a different place to go to.
Good for
And
you.
that led me to psychology and philosophy and living a more productive and fulfilling life, which led me to wanting to become a counselor on the weekend. It's just a phenomenal way to live. They just teach you how to live a fulfilling life, which is amazing that there's only a handful of things you need to do to have a great life. The formula is not complicated. It's just doing it every day and have a reason to do it.
Discipline is a good formula to get that shit done.
That's it. So, I mean, it tells me right away when people are so open. And so you've obviously said that many times before. This clearly isn't the first time.
No.
That confidence, it's like, hey, man, I'm a human. Human existence is messy. Here's the pros. Here's the cons. Here's me. Those are the people that I'm trying to connect with that are just so confident in who they are that they're willing to share the shitty parts of their life, which
if
probably
it didn't get messy, I wouldn't have choir. Sorry. It's that simple. Like, it got me here. Yeah.
And that's what I was just about to say. If you remove those ingredients, you probably wouldn't be where you are.
Yep.
Certainly me, I busted both my legs, which led to painkillers in a big way, which took my life down a very dark little rabbit hole.
Wow.
But I wouldn't be living this way without it. So there's no way that I would move that ingredient from my life. So I just wanted to say a big thank you for that. I think more people should embrace the messiness of their life. It's one of our questions later coming down. We pretty much already answered it. I think we learn about ourselves through the darkness if we're willing to sit in it and embrace it. So thank you for sharing what you did right there. I think that's amazing. And it's just cool that this has been a lifelong thing for you. Obviously, music means a great deal to you. And now you've probably developed a hell of a skill set over decades. And now you're sharing it with people, not only be able to create life for yourself, monetize it and do what you love to do, but you're also sharing that skill with other people, which I'm sure there's nobody on the planet that doesn't understand the joy that comes with music, whether hearing it or playing it, just partaking in some way. It's just a beautiful thing that we get to enjoy. So that's fantastic. So education, we talked about stories. It's really important to us. Education is another big one to us. I use the seatbelt analogy. Nobody gave a shit about seatbelts until we learned about the value of seatbelts. Somebody told me about the value of seatbelts, and now I get in an accident and my life is saved. So that is very good education that can have a huge return on investment from a very small act. But prior to that, I may have had this myth in my head that wearing a seatbelt is not cool. And so I'm not going to do it, or it has no value.
That's right.
So we talk about the myths and misconceptions. There's almost myths around everything out there. So are there any myths, misconceptions about what you do? As normally I have these questions ready to go because I understand real estate or a plumber or electrician, but your business is new in that it's this revolution, all abilities at pubs and different event centers. So what is your audience potentially thinking out there that could stop them from participating with this, that we could clarify for them?
I think a couple things. One being that the word choir is right in the name.
Yeah.
And I think people associate choir with church a lot.
That's what I thought.
Right? Yeah. And really, I really want people to know that you don't need to audition. This is a choir literally for everybody. You don't need to audition, and there's no commitment. That's another thing. People think, I don't want to commit to that. No, you don't have to. You can just come once a month, once every few months. It doesn't matter. Whenever you feel like you need it or you want a night out, come to choir. So yeah, I really want people to know that group singing doesn't just have to be done in a church, right? We can do it in the pubs. We can do it with the beer in our hand, and we can do it without committing. You don't have to commit to it weekly. It's that's what I would love to. I don't even know if there are giant myths around it, but I know there's concerns that I've heard people say, I heard the word choir and I thought church. So I hesitated to come. And then they'll do that for months and months and months. And then they'll come to choir and they'll be like, oh my God, this is what choir is. Oh, I can't believe I didn't come here for months. Yeah.
Why use the name choir?
Well, I am 100% inspired by choir from Toronto. I kind of have them to thank for, they don't even know this, but I have them to thank for helping getting me out of my hole. And just the name choir, I think is a brilliant name. And I wanted to have choir in my name. I just wanted people to know what they were coming for. I I tossed around a lot of different names. But yeah, I don't know. I like the ring that choir has. You definitely know you're singing. There's no doubt about it. You're singing. Now it's up to me just to get rid of that fog of people thinking maybe they're coming to church.
Yeah. And messaging just by letting them know over and over again, like what we're doing right now. So I am horrible at singing. God, do I ever sing a lot though? I mean, my
Yes.
family and friends just can hate me because I suck. Okay, so I'm using myself as an example now. People say I'm musical because I'm constantly making noises. I'm like, I wouldn't say that's musical. I am a noisemaker. Like
Right.
me and a fart machine are in the same category. Not musical, but certainly making audible sounds, right? Nothing pleasing to the ear, but it's noise. So fine, sound is being made. So I can show up to this, sing with you guys, do a Led Zeppelin song, show up once and pay my fee, and then I'm out. I can keep rolling with you guys. Do you teach me how to get better? Like, is it just organized karaoke, or am I following the instructor and developing this skill on top of making the connections that I imagine many people make by coming together with your group?
That skill will develop over time if you do commit a little bit and show up more often than not. But otherwise, I keep technicalities out of it, and it's really about the joys of singing. I'm not going to show you or teach you any technical abilities that are going to help you be a better singer. I think the consistency of showing up will help you be a better singer. I've heard many testimonials now of people saying, "Holy smokes, Brett!" Just from coming to choir, they now start to understand what harmony is. And they can hear it in their voice. If the voice is sounding better, they can hit notes a little better. So the consistency of showing up is going to help. But no, really, I keep it so accessible. I don't want to get into technicalities, because some people really don't know anything about it, and that's fine. You don't need to know. I just want you singing and opening your voice, because something happens with the vibrations, with yourself and with everybody in the room around you singing. That we don't really need. We're not focusing on learning technically how to sing. That's definitely not part of my goal.
Just trying to inject as much of that musical joy into many people as possible and get them to surpass that comfort zone barrier. Shit.
Am I there?
Yep, gotcha.
Comfort zone. Yeah, that's right. Get out of your comfort zone, and boy, oh boy, does it work. People come in feeling one way, and they leave feeling on cloud nine. Doesn't really matter how they walked in, whether they were feeling crappy, kind of good, really good, they leave on cloud nine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it, man. So is there practice? Like, do we practice the Led Zeppelin song somewhere before we go to the pub? Or are you just saying, hey, Jeff, we start at 9:00 today. We're at this pub and we're singing, and that's it. Like, how does it work?
It's all in one night. So you would know the song ahead of time, a few weeks ahead of time. You'd know what you're walking into. But it all happens in a night. I make the arrangement simple enough that we can learn it in about 45 minutes to an hour. So we'll spend that much time on one song, and then we break. And then when we come back, we gather as a choir. So the first 45 minutes, everybody was just kind of sitting and eating and drinking casually as I show them their parts. And then we take a break. When we come back, we move some tables out of the way, and we gather in the middle as a choir, standing together in our groups, highs, middles, and lows. And then we perform. We just perform for my phone camera and each other. It's not, we're not performing for anybody else but ourselves, to just sort of pat ourselves on the back and high five each other and say, man, that was awesome, wasn't it? We did a great job. That was so great. That's kind of what we do it for.
Okay. So you tell me the place, you tell me the time, and then that first 45 minutes, like if we're at this pub, I'm just trying to paint the picture in my head and for the audience. If we're at the pub and you tell me to show up at 9:00 or something, and we're practicing for that first 45 minutes, we're doing it in front of everybody there. Is that
each other? Yeah, we're all learning it together and doing it for and with each other.
At the pub, though.
Nobody's spectating. We're all part of the choir. If you show up and pay your money, there's nobody outside watching. It's all just us in a room closed off by ourselves.
Oh, okay. So where would this closed off room be? If you're at a pub, where are you going to do that?
Well, in the back room of Donnelly's and Barrie. Like Barrie, the pub we get to use is called Donnelly's, and they've got this separate room that we get to take over. There has been instances where we just take over a bar and they can't take the regulars in. I sell out the bar with pre-sale tickets, and then all regulars can't come in because the bar's already at capacity, and we just take over the pub.
So they do get that, at least I imagine there's going to be a lot of confronting our uncertainties and discomfort. So at least if I know I'm just with singers of all different abilities, 20, 30 of you guys, however many there is, there's no one else that's watching, especially while we practice for that 45 minutes. We do our thing. And then when we come back to sing the song, is that in front of anybody, or is the whole thing private?
It's private. It's just the same people you were learning the song with, and you just sing it for each other and for the camera. And then I'll put it on YouTube after so they can show it to their friends and family.
Awesome. So you get a little video rendition of it from coming as well.
Yeah. And if you're not a very good singer, the best thing you can do is kind of stand close to somebody who you can tell is a little better and might know the parts. And you just kind of nuzzle up to them and get your notes from them. And it seems to work, like the amount of good singers that show up, it all really balances out. You'd be surprised at what happens in this 90 minutes. It's crazy. Sometimes the end product will sound like a choir that's been singing together for 10 to 20 years. It's absolutely wild what will happen. It's magic, man. I swear it's beyond me. It's yeah.
Oh, I love it. I can see it in your face. The face often doesn't lie, or I should say passion doesn't lie, and it seems to be just oozing out of you. So it's a 90-minute session. It's private. It's just the singers. Are you singing or are you conducting?
I conduct. That's right.
Yeah.
I'm on the stage yelling and pointing and, making sure everybody's hitting their parts. Yeah.
And then is there instruments, or is it you're just playing through a speaker type of thing?
I have either one, sometimes two guitar players to accompany on acoustic guitar. And then once in a while for fun, I'll bring a drummer in and we'll do a full band. So the choir gets to experience what it's like singing with a full band. So it's almost like you're in a band for the night,
So this is the real deal, man. This is exciting. And how long have you been doing it for?
I started the year before COVID. So I got a year under my belt. And then obviously group singing was way down the list. So I started again shortly after COVID, as soon as I could. Yeah.
And what is the group size typically?
In a week at Barrie and Donnelly's, anywhere from 40 to 80 will show up. And I never really know. Sometimes it depends on the song. Actually, a lot of the times, if I choose Hallelujah, we're going to have a busy night, and so it depends on the song. Last week we did Neil Young. We had 50 singers maybe for Neil Young. And then if I go out of town to Collingwood loves Choir Revolution, and I'll sell anywhere from 75 to 100 tickets over there for a monthly event.
So I imagine people are on your list, and you say, "Hey guys, this is the place." You give them a heads up. This is the song. 90 minutes. You pay your fee. You come in. You get the recording. Have a blast with everybody, rather than going out and doing something stupid. You're coming in and chilling with a group and working on your singing and producing a great song.
It's so cool. It's very wholesome, very joyful. And for the ones that are afraid, they can have a beer. The beer tends to loosen some people up. If you are afraid, have a beer or two, and that'll help loosen you up a bit.
Oh man, this is so up to 80 people. And what is the cost, if you don't mind talking about it, to get in there?
$20 usually. Yeah,
$20.
Depends how far. If I go farther, I'll charge a bit more. But yeah, $20. Yeah.
And then you just pick different locations here and there, the ones that you found that are most complementary to this.
Exactly.
Art.
My end goal is theaters, because pubs can only hold so many people. So once I grow and scale, eventually.
We got you back, Brett. You were saying eventually.
Yeah, eventually the goal is to scale and get into theaters and sell more tickets and just larger groups. There's real power in numbers when it comes to singing. It's insane. The more people, obviously my bank account gets to benefit, but this is not why I'm doing it. Like, this is absolutely not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I love it. And when those big numbers show up, man, the hair on your arm will be standing up all night. It's that good.
Yeah. Well, there's no question. I think we all can attest to that. When I watch golf, if we're thinking of it logically, way better in my basement on the big screen from the comfort of my own home with my food, and I can do whatever I want. I got my dog with me, my buddy with me. Watching hockey, same thing. Yeah. I love stand-up comedy, same thing. Yeah. I'm not pinned together in a tiny little seat.
Yeah.
I'm in my own space. I'm in my pajamas. Don't give a shit about anything else, and I'm just enjoying it. But when I go to the hockey game or I go to the stand-up comedy. Like I just watched Tom Segura last week at the Scotiabank Arena, just watched Shane Gillis the week before.
Yeah.
2 back-to-back bangers. When a crowd of 19,000 people laugh hysterically, you have to have something wrong with you to not laugh. My abs hurt by the end of the night. I love hitting the gym, so to hurt these abs is hard to do. And I love watching it in my basement. As I said, overall comfort.
Yeah.
Kills a golf course. You sit on one hole while you're watching Tiger Woods go do his thing. But when he hits that shot and you hear, 600 acres of people screaming, there's just nothing like that. That energy is contagious. It's intoxicating. It's what bonds us together. There's nothing that can replace it, and it cannot be faked from my position. So I just love this concept, man. I've never heard anything like it. What do you do it once a week, twice a week? How does it work?
Right now, it began as once a week in Barrie, and that's kind of how I just learned how to arrange through doing it weekly with Barrie, just repetition over and over. And now Barrie's scaled back to twice a month, so that leaves me time to get out around Simcoe County and hit some other cities like Collingwood and Midland and Aurelia, Bracebridge. Yeah.
And so what do I need to do to get a part of this? Because honestly, I have my rules for life inked onto my arm so that I try to be a good person, especially when things get shitty.
Yeah.
And one of them is do hard things. And this whole conversation, singing is a hard thing for me, man, because I suck at it. So you won't catch me doing karaoke. But I'm like, if I bring the team together, we get a good 10 of us or so, and we go do this for somebody's birthday.
Oh, you'd love it. You guys would love it, Jeff. Yeah.
And just do it and stop being a little baby about it.
Yep.
How do I get involved with this, man?
Well, choirrevolution.com has everything you need. So if you go to my website, all the events and tickets are posted for the next couple of months. So you can see what we're doing. Yeah. Beautiful. So choirrevolution.com is where you want to go to find out where we are.
Awesome. And it's all local to Simcoe.
So far. Yeah.
And you are a local to Simcoe County.
Correct. Yeah. Barrie boy. Yep.
My man. Let's talk about you while we're on that topic. Let's pivot from business a little bit. Give me some high levels, maybe some deep levels, whatever you're comfortable with. What puts a smile on your face outside of music, man? What do you get up to when you're not doing music?
I'm a dad and a husband first and foremost. Those are my values right there. So being a dad is definitely number one. I've got one son who's blood, and I've got 2 stepdaughters.
What are their ages?
My son he'll be 13 shortly. Then I've got a 16-year-old and a 22-year-old.
Damn.
The older ones are girls. Yeah.
Yeah.
And right now I can't stop thinking about snowboarding and skiing. Like this is my son and I, last year was our first year doing it together, and both of us are just stoked. We can't wait. We had the
first year for you too?
No, like it was just your first year. Him and I could really afford to get all the stuff and do it. It's just so friggin' expensive.
Oh yeah.
That's all. So it was our first year together doing that, and now we know we both love it so much. And anyways, we can't wait. This is our year coming up.
What do you guys and what are you? Now, this is a loaded question, man, because it's either going to end the podcast or we're going to be best buddies. Are you a skier or are you on that board?
I'm on a board. But I don't discriminate. I don't. My son's on skis. I'm surprised. He's 13. I thought snowboarding was the cool thing to do, but literally, it's not. Like you go to the ski hills and it's split down the middle. There's lots of kids skiing and there's lots of kids snowboarding. Skiing isn't like it's not cool. It's great. It's lots of kids are doing both.
When I was a kid, if you were caught skiing, you would be bullied. But
I know.
Then,
right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was skateboarding and skiing. It was not rollerblading. You didn't wear helmets.
No helmets. Don't rollerblade. That's not cool.
No. But now, being 37, these things, that wasn't cool at all. If you liked skiing back then, you should have been able to ski. But there's no way I would have been caught dead skiing or on rollerblades. It was skateboarding and snowboarding because that's what cool kids do. And I wanted to be cool. Whereas now, the younger crowd, they're like, I don't care. If I want skis, I'm going to ski. And they should. And that's the way it should work.
So
People's judgment sucks.
I know.
I started on.
They're cooler than we were. Like that attitude is so much cooler than we thought we were. Yeah.
Well, because everything that I did when I was that young, especially, was based on what I thought other people perceived of me. Meanwhile, they were just wrapped up in their own shit too.
Oh yeah, nobody's thinking
So
about you.
it was so silly. It was so silly. But I love that you're able to do that with your boy. It's one of my favorite things. Me and my dad do 3 things together consistently. It was we golf together, we get on the hills together. He skis, I snowboard,
Yep.
and we work out together. And his
Yeah.
life is busy. My life is busy. I don't have a wife or kids, but I'm married to our work and my purpose, which is good enough for me for now.
Good for you.
But when we have those 3 activities, they're scheduled in, and I still get time with Pops, him being 70. Time and time is becoming more and more valuable as he's aging.
The most.
Any of us, you never know when your time is up. So to get the time in with the family is super important. So I love that you do that. So you're at Pops, you get on the hills, and obviously you love music. I think fatherhood is the highest privilege for a man. I imagine motherhood is the highest privilege for a woman. And all of these things I dialed in when my life took a very dark turn in my late 20s. So it's been a little over 10 years now to really wake up and recognize the beautiful gift that life can be if you choose it to be so. I'm not a nihilist. I don't focus on the negative. I want to make this Lord of the Rings journey as badass as possible for many reasons, but one of them is to become a great dad, because my relationship with my father is paramount, and he's put a lot of effort in, giving way more than he gets, especially when I was a shit, and he just kept giving. So any tidbits you can give to me or any of the other young guys out there that are fathers, want to be fathers, of how to do it well, or your favorite things about it.
Am I there? Did I come back?
Yeah, you're there. Did you hear the question?
I would say just spend time. Make sure to, spend time with your kids. It is going by so fast. I'm losing my mind that my kid's voice is just about to change, and he's about to go through puberty and lose all that innocence. And even though I think I've been a really good dad and I've spent as much time as I can, I'm still, I'm still like likely to beat myself up a bit and be like, oh, you could have done this, you could have done that. Like, and it's all about time. Every time I find myself beating myself up, it seems to be about, you should have spent more time, or, even though I did, I'm not going to be, I'm really not going to do that and sit in that. But I would say, don't procrastinate your time with your kids. Fucking get on top of it and do it. Hang out with them, spend the time. Yeah.
Again, we were talking earlier about, I'm very thankful that the answers for life are easy. They're not complicated. You just need the discipline and consistency to do it. It's the same thing with this. There's no buying your kids love. There's no trips. There's no cars. There's no these things. They just simply want time with you, and how thankful we should be for them wanting just time with the flawed human being, with my Pops, whether it's skiing or whatever it is. Sometimes just chilling on the couch and watching a show with them, whether I like it or not, it's just time.
Yes.
So I really appreciate that advice, because I try to ask all the dads that seem like really cool dudes that come on the show. I'm very lucky to be in this position of soak up a lot of dad knowledge before I become a dad, because now that I'm older, I get the opportunity to do that. If I became a dad at 21, it probably just would have happened, whirlwind. And then now 10 years later, I have a 10-year-old, but at 37, I can be a little bit more intentional about being a better dad. I didn't want to be a shit dad. That was one of the big things.
It sounds like you were raised by a good one. So
he's dope.
You've got a insane head start when that's the case.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, he set me up on a good path.
Yeah.
Let's talk about hard things. What you do in and of itself has some hard things to it. A lot of people got to face their fears, but why do we talk about hard things? Why do I have it inked onto my skin? I simply think this. I think life is going to be hard one way or another. I think if you succeed, if you're stagnating, or if you're in decline, I think it's going to be stressful. I think it's going to be hard either way. I don't think there's any person who got through this life unscathed and was comfortable and easy the whole time. And I don't know that we should want to do that. If you were given everything that you wanted at the snap of a finger, 100% on every test, got every girl or guy or business, money, if it was just given to you and there was no earning of it, I think it would be meaningless. So, when people describe utopia, everything's perfect, everything's roses, there's no difficulties, there's no challenges. They would have to change us innately, how we are wired to benefit from that. I think we would get incredibly bored very quickly. So we talk about doing hard things and going through hardships on this show personally and in business, because there's still, myself included, for a long period of time, was a part of this group that thought, why me? I'm a victim of this. Why is my life so unlucky? Why? Rather than looking at the opportunity from the challenge, that the challenge in and of itself, whether I voluntarily choose the challenge, like going to work out or jumping in a cold bath, or the challenge is forced upon me, like the pandemic. Most people wouldn't look at the pandemic and say, I'm grateful for this to happen, but it changed many lives for the positive, and that was a choice. So we love to ask the guests on the show, because I think this is those high value human questions. How do we live life well? That are there any trials, tribulations, hardships that you've been through that you're comfortable with sharing that probably sucked big time in the moment? Because hard has a symptom and it doesn't feel very good often. Our body lets us know that we're doing something uncomfortable. But when you look back in hindsight, you wouldn't remove those integral ingredients from the recipe that has become you, because you wouldn't be who you are today.
Yeah, I think I touched on this opening up earlier a little bit. Probably the hardest part of my life was going through was figuring out who the heck I was after quitting drinking, and what was I going to do. All I'd known for 20 years was you go to work and you play the songs and you drink the beer, and that's all I knew. Like, that was it. So when I took away the alcohol, everything was just different. Everything changed.
It was like an unknown world all of a sudden.
It really was. It was everything was different. My anxiety went through the roof. I got really depressed. And I'd never felt those feelings before. I was always pretty happy-go-lucky, and I don't know. I didn't know what severe anxiety and depression were like. And it got to points where I was suicidal. It was wild. And then I started seeking help. I started talking. Wow, dude! Once I started talking about it,
it's amazing, right?
Holy shit!
Doesn't seem like an answer, but it is the answer.
It is. And then you start talking to other people, like, oh my God, you too. Oh, you're struggling too. Oh my God. Okay, I'm not alone. And then you can have the conversations with these other people and learn. And once I started talking about my depression and how I was feeling, it really, things started to shift, and the clarity, I could start pushing away some clouds and getting a little bit of clarity. But yeah, the hardest part was that, and I'm still haven't figured life out post not drinking. It's weird, because I was doing it for so long, 20 some odd years of heavy drinking, and then all of a sudden you stop it. I'm now, 5 years into not drinking, and it's being social is still difficult. Like, it's not, I still haven't really figured out. I'm still full of social anxiety, and I think that's just who I am, and that I just have to deal with that. That will never go away, and that's okay. So yeah, the hard stuff is still kind of happening post that event of quitting drinking. But yeah, it hasn't been as hard since then, for sure. That I had to work through some shit. Did some therapy, some talk therapy with people. Did some psychedelic therapy, which helped greatly.
Wow, love hearing that.
Yeah, I think some of my biggest moments came from going deep into psychedelics. Actually, some of my most life-changing moments.
Yeah.
Anyways. Yeah. Did I cover it? Did I?
Yeah. I'd love to follow up with a couple things. First off, as I said earlier, I think character leaves clues, and I think only the strongest characters can admit who they are as close to reality as possible. I'm not just going to tell you about what's great about me. Actually, those things I can put aside, because those things are easy to talk about. Let me tell you about where I went wrong and why I'm cool with that and what I've learned from it. Few people do that. The best people in my life do that with ease, because they know the value in it. Like you said, just talking about it is so valuable. So they're winning too, actually, in a big way, but they're also our beacon for what a successful human can look like to others. and they encourage and inspire others to dig into their dark sides, that they can't have the light without the dark. So don't neglect it. Maybe become friends with it. And we can change our relationship with pain. Pain we often correlate with a negative. It can be totally flipped. Pain can equal positive, or it can equal indifference, or it can just say another branch of this relationship. So I really appreciate you being a beacon of that on this show right now. Many people are going to watch this, and if it impacts one person, that's an incredible thing. So, hey, kudos to you. Thank you for that. That means a great deal. My follow-up would be, do you wish you never went through any of that? If you could do it all again, would you do it differently, knowing who you are now from that? Like, do you think you needed to go through that?
No. Well, yeah, I do. I wouldn't change a thing. I'm still trying to figure out COVID and what that meant to me. Like, I still haven't figured that one out. I'm still confused as to what I was supposed to learn from that.
Oh, the whole thing was a dumpster fire. It's hard to find out the exact
ingredients. So that one, but the rest of it, yeah. It's like, I'm glad I went through that. I wouldn't be here right now on this podcast. I wouldn't have the strength that I have. I wouldn't be as good as a choir leader if I didn't go through that. Yeah.
You think you helped it made you be a better dad?
Oh my God. Yeah. First and foremost. Yeah. I should probably lead with that one, Jeff. It's not even, that's not even a contest. Yeah, absolutely.
I love it, man. Well, I also don't know all the answers for life, and going through my thing, sometimes I think, wow, that was a really painful, costly, emotionally, health, money, relationships, period. Did I really need to go through that? The more I read, the more I talk to people, it seems like absolutely. Yeah. We are the sum of our experiences. And the best people that I know in my life, like societal norms version of successful, very, very wealthy, have a good wife, a good kids, but deeply inside how they speak to themselves. Yeah. They've all been through immensely hard shit, which so many of us are trying to avoid. Maybe if we can have these conversations more and deeper and more honest, it's like the hard's a part of it. So maybe not avoid it, embrace it, maybe move towards it. So thank you for sharing that, man. I think it's just so unbelievably valuable to be having these conversations, because they're just not had that much. And I think the value is in what you just shared with us. Let's pivot back to your business a little bit. You guys go on stages anyways. So I love using this metaphor. You're on stage. They give you the microphone. They say, you got 90 seconds. Your ideal audience is there. Thousands of people, hundreds of people, doesn't matter, but they're looking up at you. You got 90 seconds to tell them whatever it is you want to tell them about what your business does and why they should get involved in it. What do you tell them? What's the thing you want them to know about Choir Revolution?
I want you to know that every time you step into a Choir Revolution event, you are in a non-judgmental room. Nobody's there to look at you funny because you sang the wrong note. That just doesn't happen where we gather. I don't know if people know that universally coming in, but it just happens at every single event. It's a beautiful thing. I want people to know that if you're struggling, this group singing stuff is just
therapy.
It's so good for therapy. I've had some therapists send their clients to choir to come and feel better. No joke. It's some of the best therapy. It's the cheapest therapy you can get. I will go on record as saying that. For $20, this one night of choir will have you bouncing for a week. And I'm not even shitting you. This is what happens after. That glow and that feeling will sweep with you and will take you all the way through the week with you. Don't come because or just come. I don't even know, man. It's there's so much I want to say, Jeff. I want people to know that singing feels really good. It's not just about the singing. It's about the community, the gathering, the vibrations, and therapy. Feeling good. And don't be afraid. Do not be afraid of coming to choir. That's what I want you to know. Don't be afraid. Come and feel good. I forget what else I said. I've just been rambling.
I think it's fantastic. I think people need to know, and think some know that, first off, facing a fear like myself feels incredibly rewarding. And the majority of the fear comes preemptively. It comes while I'm walking to that stage. Once I'm there and you're organizing everything, which I'm going to do this now.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to do it. And you start conducting and you say, okay, guys, focus on this, that, whatever. This is what we're doing. Once I actually get into it, I bet you most of the anxiety will flow away. And now I'm connecting with other like-minded people. There's pros there that I can learn from.
Yep.
I was going to say I probably can't teach too many people because I'm going to be at the bottom of the barrel, so I can learn from just about everybody. There's going to be smiling faces. We're going to trip over our toes metaphorically and have fun and laugh at that.
Yep.
And just be in this group of strangers that are coming together for this one cause, all essentially resulting in just feeling good to be alive.
That's right.
That's what I imagine people get from that, which is how much more wholesome and what a better way to spend 90 minutes, really.
There isn't in my life. This is I found my purpose, and now I'm just throwing it all at it. I'm throwing everything I have at this choir stuff because I truly believe in it, that it is a form of therapy. And it's so universal too. It's so accessible. Everybody can do this. You don't have to be a good singer. We're not doing it to hit all the right notes. We're doing it to feel better.
Oh, that's awesome, man. In through the counseling journey that I've been on, there's an incredible book called Body Keeps the Score. And he is a longtime therapist, counselor, psychotherapist. And he talks about talk therapy being very beneficial to, in our mind, our thoughts are disconjointed. And they're like a ball of yarn, just knotted to shit. So just by talking about it, you put it in coherent sentences and you can make more sense of it. So that's fantastic. But often there's many barriers between me actually going up here because I'm so afraid and speaking it out. So getting somebody in the gym and getting them connected with their body, getting them dancing, getting them drawing, getting them singing.
Yes.
He not only talks about the anecdotal evidence to this, but he goes deeply into the science in each one of those modalities that I just talked about. Singing and dancing were one of the two most impactful. They're the easiest to access. They require no other tools. They just require connecting with the body, taking some instruction, and expressing yourself however you feel. And now that I've got some awesome chemicals being released into my brain, which we only have so many chemicals. If you know how to manipulate them, you can feel better and get through shittier periods of time. Now that I've danced, now that I've sung a song, I get these great dopamine hints, a little oxytocin kicks in there. I'm more comfortable, I'm more calm, and now I'm more open to talk therapy. So there's no question about it in my mind from the people that I follow, actual evidence-based therapy modalities to music, to dance, to connecting with the body. And that leads us into having more productive talk therapy. So I think music, it's very clear that it makes you feel good. So I love that you do that, man. Last one for you. Two last, actually. Let's get the details out. What's the best way to connect with you and Choir Revolution if we're interested?
Well, if you want to find events and tickets, you go to choirrevolution.com. If you want to follow me, you can follow at I'm Captain Choir on Instagram or Choir Revolution on Instagram, either one. And then Facebook. There's a Choir Revolution Facebook group. So Facebook, Instagram, and sign up to subscribe to the email list on choirrevolution.com. That's also a great way to stay in touch.
Beautiful. Love it, man. Last question for you. Again, to a lot of this.
Yeah.
This podcast is really just an extension of my life. Like, I don't know what to talk about if I'm not involved in it. I'm not going to start talking about being a veterinarian because I know nothing about it. I talk about mentorship. I talk about entrepreneurship. I talk about marketing, health and fitness, and I talk about purpose and impact. Those are the 5 things that I study the most. Really, those are the 5 things that I actively pursue and do my day-to-day activities because they've netted the highest return of positive contentment and fulfillment in my life. So I preface this a little bit to provide a little bit of context, but mentorship has changed my life totally. I look at life as metaphorical mountain, and I'm up so many steps on the way. If I can find somebody that's walked that mountain a couple of times and ask them how they did it, I can probably have a better journey up that mountain. So learning from other people is exceptional for me. And it speeds up my learning and my joy of connecting with other people. Anyway, my mentor came, one of them, I have many. Some of them know me, some of them don't know me, some of them have been dead for 2,000 years, ancient philosophy. But one in particular, she taught me about impact in my early 20s. All I cared about was girls, parties, doing cool things, being popular, and fitness. That's it. Very superficial, young 20-year-old silly boy. And she said, if you want to do well in life, one of the things you should probably start considering, so I encourage you to consider your impact. Essentially, you're born, you die. What is the net result of Jeff on this planet? Have you ever thought about that before? I said, no. It doesn't have anything to do with a girl or the next money or whatever it is. Well, you are definitely having an impact on people. You've had an impact. And you don't even know if you'll be here tomorrow. So if you're not intentional about your day and what you want it to result in, you're probably going to miss the mark because you don't even have a target to aim at. And then for however long you are here, if you last till 40 or 90 or 150, depending on technology, you are going to have either a bad impact on this world, which you won't feel good about, or a good impact on this world, which you likely will feel good about. And when your time is up, you'll be more ready to go rather than desperate for another moment because you have so many regrets. So impact is my North Star. It is my compass. It is the thing that no matter what I'm doing in life, whether I'm a caddy at a golf course back when I was a young kid or a personal trainer or running a business, small or large, I try to make sure that my impact is the same. And that is to find out what I'm capable of, like really push myself to the limits, because I think we were born with incredible potential, but I think it takes a lot to earn it. And I don't want to die with thinking I've only gained 30% of what I'm capable of. It's like getting a Ferrari and driving it in first gear, 20 kilometers an hour. Yeah. You have no idea what it can do because you never had the courage to figure that out. So find out all that I'm capable of and share it with the world, essentially, is what I think being a good human being is. That's my thing. So we love to ask the guests that come on the show, what would you like your impact to be, Brett?
Well, I think raising some good kids would be at the top of the list, and making sure that they have everything they need to live their lives and pass on, and contribute. And I got to affect as many people as possible. I need to. Yeah, I was really connecting with you there. I'm full of potential, and I know there's so much that's still untapped, Jeff. And I'm right with you. I need to get to the bottom of this and figure out how deep the well of potential goes. Because something tells me it's scary deep with me, and I can affect a lot more people in this world before I go. So that's my goal right now. Yeah, is very similar to yours. Impact. Figure out what that potential is, or not figure it out, but just start scratching towards a deeper, getting deeper towards it. And that's the best way I can impact this world. Yeah.
So essentially continue to find out the gifts that you have and then display them and share them with other people.
Precisely. Yes.
And be a great dad.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if everybody lived that way? We're all going to F up and make a gazillion mistakes. In life, I found it to be very cool is we only need to win 10 or 15% of the time to have a great life. We don't need to win 100% of the time, which is very cool. So we have a lot of leeway, but it's that facing those fears to find out what's the next skill I can get, what's the next answer I can unlock, so that I can tell my buddies and help them or the public that I don't know deeply yet. I think, what would the world look like if everybody did that? It's a pretty cool thing, man. Brett, you've been awesome, man. This has been a super valuable question for me, and we've done over 400 of these now, man. And I've been talking to entrepreneurs for 10 years now. We've only been doing the podcast since February, but what a privilege it is to have other like-minded people here in our home to come pick their brains, to find out what they're doing, to share their products and services, but more so to get to know that human-to-human connection. Very privileged position for us. And just want to say thanks to you for having such an open and transparent conversation. And there is no doubt about it, Brett. We will be, me and at least 2 other members of my team, I know who they are already, will be coming and joining Cryo Revolution at some point, because this fear has blocked me from many opportunities. And all I needed was to speak to you.
I got you.
Plant that seed to stop and letting that fear block me. And I'm going to come and enjoy it. You've been a blast, man. Thanks for coming on the show, pal.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. My pleasure.
Absolutely. Until I come out at some point and we will be in touch prior to then. But you have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Midhurst. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpmidhurst.com. That's gnpmidhurst.com or call 705-413-3775.